Hello. Hi. Jamie, thank you. I'm really grateful you put me in the show. And congratulations on the paperback release of your book. It's a really good book. Don't start reading it tonight or you'll be up all night. I like the theme of drinking for stories. I have a lot of good and bad drinking stories. But I kind of wanted to take it in a different direction. I'm going to start with a question. Has anyone here ever been in a relationship that was a relationship with someone, maybe a friend or a lover or a member of your family, and you were convinced they were drinking your blood? Maybe while you were sleeping? Maybe while you were awake? Well, I have. This is a horror story. It starts on a train. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell the whole story like that. I could. So I'm on a train, and I'm on the way to my friend's wedding, my friend Bridget, and I'm 23, and it's the first friend of mine that's gotten married. And I'm alone on the train, and I'm drinking a 40-ouncer with a paper bag around it. I'm hitting it pretty hard, because I'm nursing a grudge against my friend Bridget, surprisingly, because I'm not in a bridal party. It's not like I'm Betty Bridesmaid, especially not back then, but I was hurt. You know, I considered Bridget a close friend, and also the maid of honor, Marla. I was also close to Marla. But I have to be honest, Marla, less of a friend, I was more of a soul slave than a friend. And what is the difference between a soul slave and a friend? You might be asking yourself, and it's a good question. Well, I was 23, we lived in New York City, and Marla and I spent way too much time together. And when we were together, she would take a little chunk of my soul. It was ineffable, it was abstract. I was way too young to be conscious of much, so I didn't really know what it was, but I knew she was taking a little chunk of something. And with it always came a little piece of my dignity. But I was a willing victim. I put my neck out and she sunk her teeth in. In exchange, I got to live in her apartment rent-free and drive her car. She was an heiress, and so she had a fortune, and she would buy me food at restaurants, and I was an alcoholic, so she would buy me drinks, and that could get pretty expensive. And yeah, so also I got to walk around with her parrot on my shoulder, which gave me a certain, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. And I would sleep in her bed with her when her boyfriend was out of town. But it wasn't a sexual relationship. It was actually more intimate than that. Anyway, she was the maid of honor. And I'm riding the train. I'm feeling kind of bitter about it. And here's the deal. It sounds like I just went up to college and looked for rich friends, which is not true. Well, I don't think it's true. But I did come out of college with a lot of rich friends, and I think it's because of my mom. I would like to blame her, if you would allow me that privilege. Because I grew up in the South. I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and my mom was it was the 1970s, and she was heavily into the Gothic Southern myth of the wealth that once was. We're going back a few years to the Civil War, people. A lot of people jumped on the we were rich before the war wagon, and we were some of those people. So in the 70s, we didn't have a lot of money, but we had a lot of attitude. And wealth was really the state of mind. So I don't know, I might have picked that up from her. The only state of mind I was really conscious of at the point that I got off the train was that I was drunk, because I'd had 2 of these tall malt liquors, very classy. I was wearing a cheap dress from TJ Maxx. I had my Payless heels on. I was on my own, you know. Marla was already at the wedding. So I had to pay for my own taxi. Went to the church. It was beautiful. Marla looked beautiful. Maid of honor. The bride looked beautiful, Bridget. I hated her. And And then we took, I was ferried over, in a van to the estate where the wedding was, along with all the other non-members of the bridal party. And we got to the estate, and it's really nice. It's like a house with a big white tent next to it, fields. It's out in rural New Jersey, and there's horses grazing in the pasture. So immediately when I see the horses, I start sweating, because I have a very bad memory of these horses, which I'm going to tell you about now. As you might have guessed. Okay, but that was a nice little horses. Here we go, horse story. So after my freshman year of college, I went home with Bridget for a few days, and Marla was there. And in college, I was not friends with Marla. In fact, Marla and I competed with each other for Bridget's attention. But Marla was Bridget's best friend from prep school. They went to St. Whatchamacallit. And I kind of had to if you're a woman, you know this. Sometimes you got to put up with the friend of the friend. So the friend of the friend was Marla, and she didn't like me either. And Bridget says, "So, do you ride horses?" Of course I ride horses, which was a lie. Maybe I'd been on a pony ride. Maybe I'd taken a trail ride at Bible camp in West Virginia. But I certainly didn't ride thoroughbred horses, English style, on these little tiny saddles. But I jumped up, and Marla and Bridget and I went for a horse ride. Didn't end well. Of course, at first it was fun. We were walking. I thought I could handle it. There was a little this going on. I don't know, it's called posting. Yeah, right? I was going to say the vagabond vagina, but that's not what you said. What did you say? Something about a giant vagina. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. So I'm posting on the horse, and I think I'm pulling it off. Then Marla cuts me a look from her side, her tawny eye, and takes off cantering. Then Bridget takes off cantering. So, of course, my horse takes off cantering. I have no idea how to stop it. If you can fall in 3 directions at once, I did. Sideways, sideways, backwards, onto the ground. I survived, obviously. Barely. But I got up and I brushed myself off, and I kept on living. That is something I know how to do. I know how to stay alive. Barely. Because the truth is that after college, I knew I couldn't trust Marla after that. But we both moved to New York City, and she was pursuing art. Bridget moved to Wyoming, and she was pursuing rock climbing and horses. And I was pursuing drugs and alcohol, pretty much. So I was lost. I was drunk a lot, high a lot. I couldn't keep an apartment, couldn't keep a job. And I got into a situation commonly referred to as homelessness. And that's when Marla scooped me up. She got her teeth in my neck. So, I don't know, we're at the reception, we're having a great time, and I don't think Bridget realizes that Marla has her teeth in my neck, and I'm enjoying being with Bridget. I haven't seen her in a while. And Marla says, "I want to show you something behind the house." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't really want to go behind the house." "Okay, let's go behind the house, Marla." So we go behind the house, and it's kind of dark. Everybody else is at the tent. And she says, there's a steep hill. And she says, "Let's race up the hill." I'm like, "Nah, I don't really want to race up the hill, Marla." "Okay, all right, let's race up the hill." So we race up the hill, and I'm actually winning this race. And I run like olive oil. I'm not athletic. I'm like completely excited that, I don't mean the oil, I mean the cartoon character. And we're running up the hill. I'm feeling great, we're running. She's behind me. I'm like, I can't believe she's a hockey jock. I can't believe I'm beating her. And then suddenly, I'm running, but my feet are not on the ground. And I'm thinking, okay, I've gone off the cliff. Marla has finally killed me. And then whoosh, I'm underwater. And it's freezing cold. I'm way too drunk for this. Way too drunk for this. And then the good thing about drunk people is that they float. So I bobbed up to the top of the surface, and sure enough, I was just in Bridget's swimming pool, which Marla had set up. She thought it was very funny. She was laughing, and I was soaked. My TJ Maxx dress was soaked. So we go in the house, and I put my dress in the dryer, and even though my dress is pretty much made of toilet paper, it took 45 minutes for it to dry, so I'm stuck in my bra and underwear with long, wet hair. Marla leaves me there, of course. These are the terms of our arrangement. And I'm kind of sprawled out on the bed, and there's gifts all around me. So I'm in the room where all the gifts are, and they're nice gifts. Beautiful boxes and white ribbons and a lot of Tiffany. And I've got like one leg on the floor, because, you know, when you're spinning, they say if you put a leg on the floor, it makes things better. One eye open. And in walks Bridget's mother with 6 women. Equestrians, all of them. And they are there to look at the wedding gifts. And this creature passed out on the bed. It was a collective gasp of horror. And I have to admit, I had a little attitude about it. Kind of like, what, you know, what's the big deal? Never seen a naked girl before? Jeez. I played it off, but I have to say the next day I didn't feel so casual about it. I was full of shame. And I felt horrible. And my friendship with Bridget kind of faded, and I didn't see her family again. And the lifestyle was not sustainable. And mostly because of the shame. I had so much shame after I did stuff like that. So I think it was like a couple of tries and a couple of failures. And not too long after that, I got sober. I stopped drinking. I stopped taking drugs. And as the fog lifted, I realized that I had a 5', 2" blonde heiress attached to my neck. I couldn't get sober that way. So to save you all the details, and I just want to say, like, she was thoroughly fucked up, but so was I. Like, we were in it together, for sure. And I did manage to disentangle myself. And I won't lie and say that I haven't had a few nibbles from other vampires over the years. That was a long time ago, and I'm attracted to vampires, as it turns out. But mostly, I'm vampire-free. It feels good. Thank you.